Can you tell us what made you at that time kind of come out publicly to advocate for legalization and what you hoped the legislature might do with that message?
Well, the recognition that at that time, half, and not that it's changed that much, but half of what we spend on law enforcement, the courts and the prisons is drug related. And what are we getting for that? And the recognition that these laws are terribly discriminatory. And then the notion that I believe that, and this is what I said in 1999, that I believe legalizing marijuana will lead to less overall substance abuse because people are going to find marijuana as such a safer alternative.
So it was kind of a long shot, I think, at the time, but was there any part of you that hoped that maybe you could get some Republican support, maybe even Democratic support at that time in the legislature to say, hey, maybe we should take a look at this?
No, Andy, there was absolutely no, everybody was throwing stones, everybody, Democrats, Republicans. There was, there was talk of impeachment. You're going to get impeached for voicing an opinion on a topic that you are an elected official, and aren't you supposed to get into office and do the things that you find out that need doing and do them? So no, there was no chance whatsoever that this was going to go anywhere at the time. And I wasn't naive at the time, but at the time, I did say that marijuana will be legalized. There's no question about it. The question is, how long will it take?
You've previously said that you were an occasional consumer of cannabis. Is that still the case?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also my whole life is health and wellness. That's what my whole life is about. I haven't had a drink in 34 years. But I do find marijuana as a much safer alternative. And for me, marijuana is health and wellness. I think one of the offshoots of legalizing marijuana in a state where it hasn't been legal is I think a lot of people comply with the law and have never used marijuana because it's been illegal. I think one of the big surprises is going to be, because it's legal, people are going to try it for the first time. And I think the takeaway is going to be, what have we done to this point? Because this is pleasant. This is a good thing. This isn't a bad thing.
Why do you like to use cannabis? Do you use it for medical reasons or other reasons?
Well, for the same reasons that someone would have a cocktail in the evening or a couple of cocktails to take the the edge off the day. I think I'm in that category when it comes to marijuana. And I'll also say that, the stories abound from people who have used marijuana and said they've had a horrible experience. How much of that had to do with the fact that it was illegal and that you had to buy it through the black market? I think a lot of those stories come from back to the fact that it was criminal, and because of that, people didn't use it, and that's going to change. And I really want to applaud the governor for calling a special session on this and getting it done. I think that was terrific. I applaud the fact that it's going to be a really cheap license to produce or actually sell. I know that there are warts on everything. The wart on this bill seems to be putting a cap on production. That's, but hey, this can be remedied. This can be amended in the future to take care of that issue.
It's interesting you brought up that you praised the current governor for doing that. As a self-described fiscal conservative, does it seem to you that the cost of the special session is negligible when it comes to the cost of legalizing this substance?
I do believe that, Andy. I absolutely do. And people ask all the time, well, gee, there's all this revenue from the taxes. Well, forget about the revenue. Just think of the savings when it comes to law enforcement, the courts and the prisons. If the police can deal with real crime, and real crime, definitionally speaking, that's when you do harm to somebody else. If you're doing arguably just harm to yourself by using marijuana, who cares? Who really cares?
Megan kind of brought this up part way as far as, the stigma of using cannabis versus alcohol. You don't really see this with alcohol, but there's a long running stereotype that people who use cannabis are spacey or forgetful or maybe have no filter. And it seems to me you're kind of unfiltered anyway by nature. But I often hear people relate cannabis use to your comments in the news and interviews. Does it ever bother you that when these interview clips come out, people say, oh, he's just smoked too much weed?
Well, okay, so this is where we've gotten to now. Look, I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I never have been a hypocrite. When I ran for governor the first time and I admitted marijuana use, there were so many that wanted to know if I'd been in drug rehab and was I remorseful for my marijuana use? Come on. At the time, I said, look, I'm one of 100 million Americans who've tried marijuana or used it, tens of millions that use it on a regular basis. You can criticize me for using it, but am I criminal? No. And then that's back to the discriminatory nature of the law to begin with. You know what? I'm caught with marijuana as a teenager growing up. I'm white. I got a job. I'm going to school. I live in Albuquerque. Good chance, just drive on down the road and don't do it again, as opposed to someone black or of color, Hispanic, pulled over. The car smells of weed. Okay, we're going to put this guy through the ringer. And they do. And I don't want to fault law enforcement in any of this either. These are laws that needed to be changed. And of course, that is the law that we changed. I was talking to a congressional candidate this cycle, and she said that she'd been in law enforcement her entire life. Look, you're not running for law. You're not running for sheriff here. You're running for Congress, and you're going to be put in a position to change laws that shouldn't exist, not to enforce laws that are in fact discriminatory and don't do any good whatsoever, do more harm than good.